Before we talk injuries, transfers, I want to talk about Freddie Draper, who was very honest in his interview with me on Tuesday. He talked about having to almost live a better lifestyle and become more professional. Have you noticed that in him since he came back this pre-season?
Yeah, I think what he said was really honest and really true. I think a lot of younger players go through moments like that, but I totally agree with him. I think he looks so much sharper, so much fitter, can get about a bit more. It might sound a simple thing, but sometimes there has to be a moment where they think, actually, I want to be the best professional I can be. And Freddie's come back in awesome shape, and he's raring to go. And that's what you want with all the individuals. But like I say, I think it's great from him, and then the performance you get out of him on Tuesday night, I think him and Rob up there were awesome, and definitely Freddie had a great performance.
How much of it came from him, rather than you or your coaching staff saying to him what he needed to do?
It comes from everybody. It comes from the medical team. It comes from myself. It comes from the coaching staff. But ultimately he has to do it. With all players, they have to have the desire and the drive to do what Freddie went and done. And he realised that, he's a good footballer, but he needs to maximise every day and train well every day and be prepared well every day. And we're not just talking about Freddie as an individual. There's a few of them across football that, when they have a weekend off or a few months off, they go and spend some time. But it's not just that. Freddie's application and all the lads, really, their application to what we're trying to do and be fit, they came back in great shape this summer. So it's great from him, but I think all of them, and actually that creates that environment where everybody wants to keep improving, and ultimately it's for themselves, but it's for the team as well. So it's fantastic the shape he's come back in.
Let's move on to the injuries then. First, Ben House, is he going to be back?
Yeah, Ben's back on the grass with us today, just for the first time. So we'll see how he reacts. He's in a mask, so that can obviously add complications because he's still got his broken nose. So even though he missed with concussion through the protocol, his mask is the thing that might give him a bit of jip, if you like, if that's the right term. But yeah, he's back on the grass, which is great news.
When he's had the concussion protocols, has he been able to train, do the running or anything, or has he been completely out of it?
It's completely in like a sliding scale. You have to go through the protocols with the medical team takes full control over that because of the liability. We with the coaching staff want him back earlier, but he's been under Kieran Walker's guys and Josh Snowden, and they have to build it up. So they have to make sure he can do X, Y, Z before he can come back on the grass with us. And good news is he's back on the grass with us today and with fully training. But before that, he'd done a little bits of here and building up his running. Because if you have any incidents while you're doing it, if you feel headaches, you get set back. But fortunately, he's met all the markers, as we say, and he's back with us.
Rico Hackett?
Rico's back in training as well, a bit sore. He's got a slight back injury, but again, he's back in training today and got through full training, so that's good. But we'll see how his back reacts tomorrow. It's one of those things where, with bad backs, if you've ever had them, it can feel fine, and then all of a sudden you wake up in the morning and it's stiff and gone again. But he trained as well today, which is good news.
And then the big one, Jack Moylan. What's the latest?
Yeah. Tough, we don't know. So the swelling's quite big. We've got to wait for the swelling to go down before he can go have his MRI. So he's due to probably have a scan tomorrow. If not, maybe Monday or over the weekend, and then 24 hours after that we'll probably get the news about where it's at and what it looks like. So we still don't know to the extent of that. It was a dreadful tackle, by the way. I couldn't see it in the day, but I thought it was a poor tackle. So we don't know. The reality is we don't know. It does look swollen. It does look quite nasty. But fingers crossed, it's not as bad as we want it to be.
And I suppose, as you said on Tuesday night, that trying to keep Jack's morale high will be almost as much of a challenge as getting his ankle fixed because of what happened to him last season. Yeah, but the first thing is Jack's an unbelievable character. He's an unbelievable young man. Since he's come over here, and I first came in and Jack was training with the group but couldn't sign because of the different league situation. But he trained every day like it was his last training session, and he does that every day. And I think he will get through it no matter what, because that's Jack. His resilience, his desire, his the way he is as a person is just strong character. So it'll knock him for sure, like any footballer. It'll knock us as a group because he's a great guy to have in the dressing rooms, and he's a great character. But he'll get through it. I'm 100% confident he'll get through it again, because that's what he does. When he gets punched on the nose, one thing Jack does is get back up and go again. So, and that's why he is where he is, and that's why we think a lot of him, is because he's a superb young man when it comes to that sort of stuff. On to transfers. Where are we at? Any movement?
Yeah, nothing to add, unfortunately. But that's that's where we are. But we're working again. We are working overtime, but we're close. We're close on a couple of things. Whether or not it's in for the weekend, we're not sure. But let's see. We've got things in the pipeline that we're looking at. But we need to get these over the line. But yeah, hopefully, if not for the weekend, hopefully for Monday, ready for obviously another game on Tuesday, because we go thick and fast now.
Is the left back position the priority, or central midfield, or a player to place Jovan? Have you got an area you'd like to get done first?
Well, you've probably spoke about all the areas, to be honest. In three, you've discussed the areas we want to do some, add to the depth of the group, because in all of those areas we're light depth wise. Obviously, we've got a few injuries that compound the fact that and Jacko's now suspended, so it compounds certain areas. But we don't want to just make a decision because Jacko's going to miss a game and it puts the back line under pressure. That's not the right thing to do for the long term. So we want to make sure we keep on piece in terms of what we've got to do. But you spoke about those three areas for sure. We need to look at another midfielder because Ethan went. We need to look at a wide player of some sort because Jove went. And we obviously we're still looking at the left back situation. But I've been really happy with Riley since coming, Riley Towler. I think his natural might be left side centre half, but he's growing into a very, very good left back as well, and he's physically good. But we need cover there, we need depth there, we need maybe a different profile there. So that's what we're working on in a minute.
You mentioned earlier on in this interview you played almost a two up front at times on Tuesday with Freddie Draper and Rob Street. Is that something you're going to look at going forward, and something you think that will work with James Collins and another? Yeah,
I think it's definitely something we'll look at going forward, whether it's for this game, whether it's for another game. The way we did that, we wanted to get Rob Street stretching, who's very good on the last line, and get Freddie in a slightly different role. But we think Freddie's quality can add to that. You naturally would see him high, but he's really effective in those situations. So it depends on the opposition. It depends on us on the night. But in all the tactical work we do, we always have different nuances and adaptability. So it's a 4-2-3-1 without, but it might be a 4-4-2. We do that pretty much every game because we want to try and find their weaknesses and add to our strengths. So in terms of having the profiles, that's partly why the transfer window has to go right, because having the different profiles and, if you like, players in the building to allow you to do that is really important. So yeah, for sure we will adapt in our structure, because we don't want to, again, it keeps people guessing, but also allows us to attack their weaknesses quite a bit.
I was just having a quick read of what your opposition managers had to say ahead of the weekend. I think he called your side a direct side. Is that fair, do you think? Or do you not see that as a positive or a negative, and that's actually a compliment to the
I don't know anymore. I don't know what right is in football. I would call us a front-footed side. Direct, if you want to call it direct, that's no problem to us. But I think what we do is try and find a way to cause damage to the opposition how they want to play. So if they want to keep the ball and we have to go after it and press to try and score from that way, we'll do it that way. If we have to play forward quick, we'll play forward quick. But we're very adaptable in our structure. Our identity is our principles rather than having the ball 100 passes between the keeper. But then if we need to build in that way, we can. So I'm not too fussed what people call us, if I'm honest. I'm more about what we are and who we are and what we want to be. And we want to be front-footed, exciting, and go after teams, and especially at home, take it to the opposition. How they see it and view it is up to them. How I see and view other people is up to me as well. So.
And when it comes to Plymouth, a lot of change there, both in terms of playing staff and obviously the manager change. Is it good to play a side like that early on in the season when maybe they've not got settled down into the way they want to play?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure when it is to play a good side, but I think, I don't think they've got going yet for sure. I don't think, when you look at their squad and their power they've got in the team and how they're trying to do, obviously they're trying to adapt with a new manager and a new style of playing, a new way of playing, new things going on. But I don't think they've got going in the league yet, so it'd be good for them to come to our place and hopefully we can do the business. But I think they will grow. I think they'll grow into where they are, but I don't think they are, their level of player and how they are is where they should be in the league at the moment. But we saw that last season a couple of times. We saw Leyton Orient didn't get off to a great start, and then all of a sudden they bumped on. So yeah, hopefully if it is a good time to play, maybe, but we've still got to go and do our job.